So it's educating your clients as well. We have a huge job. We have to be psychiatrists, right? Because they tell you everything, even stuff you don't want to know. I'm like, really? Thank you for that information, right? But they don't want to hear yours. And this is where I see hairdressers mess up too. Be a professional. See, in our industry, 80% of the hairdressers, once you get out of here and you get your license, 1 year from now, more than half of you won't even be doing hair. It's a sad thing, but it's true. And the half of you that will still end up doing hair and work in a salon, out of that 50%, 80% of that 50% will only make 20% of the dollars in our industry. See, 80% of all the hairdressers out there that actually work behind a chair, 80% of them only make 20% of the dollars. 20% of the hairdressers make 80% of the dollars. Which one do you want to be? It's totally up to you. Again, like I said, how do you charge what you charge, Max? How do you do what you do? Do good hair. Don't be lazy. Lazy hairdressers make no money. You have to do good hair. You have to be focused. I had one of the girls in my salon said, it's not fair, Max. You get all the colors all day, every day. You take them all. No, I don't. In fact, my receptionist is trained to fill everybody's book so I can sit. That's what I want to do now. I've colored plenty of hair in the last 33 years. Do you think I really want 8 of them on my books tomorrow? I do, because I like color. But I want the stylist full. But I watch the stylist, and the one who complains the most is the one who never goes to the class, the one who's fallen asleep in the back room, the one who's on her texting. She knows everything about hair color, though. I'm the best. She never measures. She never mixes right. Think about it. If I have a bowl of color right here, and I have more developer than I do pigment, more color. There's more developer, it's going to come out a little bit lighter, it's going to be more translucent, and it's going to fade faster. That's obvious. If I have more color than I do developer, it's going to look deeper, it's going to be more matte, right? This stylist in my salon, she used the same formula on one client in particular. It was always 6N because she had a little bit of gray. She never used a measuring cup, never used a bowl, never used a scale. She just poured it in. She thought she was a genius. One time there was more developer, the next time there was more pigment, and you could see the bands through her hair. And I was watching her when she was applying. She said, I just don't understand, like last time it was lighter and it faded fast, and it wasn't the same as the time before. And she went, you know, you're right, I think I bought a bad tube. Like one tube decided out of the whole batch to go bad, right? Tubes of color have like a 25-year shelf life. Did you know that? Even if the lids come off. They may oxidize, so when you first squirt them, you see a little bit of that pigment come out. They're not bad. Even if there's streaks of pigment through it, okay? It's not bad. It's still going to work. And then she saw it to the client. She goes, you know, I thought I bought a bad tube. I'm like sitting there laughing, right? And then she says, and by the way, what shampoo did you use? She pulled that one again, too. And she said, well, the one you sold me. And I'm sitting there, now what do you tell her, right? Mixing does make a difference, especially with smart hair color, especially with the texture of your hair you're putting it on. Is it going to absorb easier, or is it going to be harder to get into that hair? So you got to pay attention to the porosity. Does that make sense? Because it's going to change it, and it's going to make a big difference. She was the one that was so focused on herself too, that every client that came in the salon, oh my God, you should, the Super Bowl party I went to yesterday was awesome, let me tell you about it. All she talked about was the stupid Super Bowl party. And then the next client came in, and guess what she talked about? The same story. Like by the 5th client, I don't even want to hear it. I'm like, hi, I know you're here to say Tia, but I'm Max, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her Super Bowl party. So maybe by the time she sits in your chair, she might talk about hair. I might have 8 haircuts on my books and none of them booked for color, but guess what? They're all going to walk out with color. All day, every day. Because it's what I talk about. I love hair color. I'm like, oh my God, your eyes, they are so intense, they're beautiful. And if I put these pastel blondes through, they're going to pop. Your skin's going to look healthier. It's going to look... They've already got their checkbook out. They're doing a budget. You got time today? Do you think you put just a few in? Because it's what I talk about. I'm not busy talking about the Super Bowl. Does that make sense? You have to be a professional, be focused on your business 100%. Think about my doctor. My doctor knows me really well. Like better than you do, right? He knows me really well. And I've never sat in his office and him talk about the Super Bowl party. Ever. And he knows me really well. Right? You see what I'm saying? I don't care how well you know your clients. When they're in your chair, they are your client. They are a guest. You have to run a business. Does that make sense? Don't do your hair at home. See, I learned a big lesson because you know what? In the early 80s, when I first got my license, I wanted to do everybody's hair and I wanted to be busy. So I'm like, I'll give you a deal. I want to do it for 25 bucks, your color today. And guess what she did? She went home, she goes, Max will give you a deal. Call all of her friends when they were having a cocktail. And the next day, 3 of her friends called and they said, hey, you did my friend Sharon's hair. She said you'll give me a really good deal. Okay, I'll give you a deal. Now all of a sudden I was booked with deals. Right? Only buddy who came to Max is because Max gives a deal. Do you think the lady that drove up in her beater Toyota that was shaking because she didn't have enough money, but she had enough money to scrape up for my deal to park, do you think the lady with the Aston Martin's going to park next to her and come in to see Max? I lowered my quality of service. I lowered my expectations of myself. I drew the exact clientele I deserved. And I didn't get the clientele that I wanted to have. I actually had to sell that salon, pack my stuff, and move to a different city. And start over. And get rid of them. All the deals. And then I didn't want to go to work in a commission salon. My God, they're going to take 50% of everything I make? That's not fair. Really? Okay, go rent a station. And pay for all your products. Pay for your advertisement to build it. Pay for your insurance in case you burn somebody with a curling iron so you don't get sued. Pay for all your taxes and your accounting. Then when you go on vacation and you don't do hair, you make no money because no one's paying you. And I went on commission in a high-end salon that took 50% of my money. Guess what? They brought me the lady that drove the Aston Martin and the Range Rover, and 100% of nothing is 100% of nothing when 50% of a lot of money became a lot of money. They paid for my advertising. They matched me in a 401k. They gave me a paid vacation once a year. They gave me clientele. They made my book solid, and I didn't have to deal with anything. So think about how you're going to grow your business when you get out of here. I learned the best assisting. I assisted for 1.5 years. I went and found the best colorist I could find. And I picked his brain, and I worked for him for 1.5 years. And I learned how to do color behind the chair. It's all up to you how much money you make, but you have to understand our industry. And you have to be focused 100%. I came from a farm in Wyoming, okay? My mother did hair. We had a salon hooked to our house, and then we had the chickens next to the salon. And the pigs and the cows and the horse, all of it. In a population less than the school system. You can do anything if you want to. But you have to set your goals high. I never would have known when I wanted to do hair, because my mother did hair. I'm like, teach me how to make blue hair. It's really cool. She's like, no, Max. Always don't do hair. And I'm like, well, Vidal Sassoon does hair. Well, he's different. I'm like, well, have you ever seen me, Mama? I'm different too! Okay? And I like hair. And I want to do it. Okay? But I was focused all the time. I didn't just go do hair in a salon. I had goals. And you can have whatever you want if you believe it, but you got to live it every day. You're not going to sit in your chair and wait for someone to walk in the door every day for your clientele, are you? Gosh, hopefully someone might walk in at 4 o'clock and walk in. You might sit for 4 years. Like I said, I know hairdressers that have had their license for 25 years who are good. But now conglomerates have taken our business away from them and they tell them they can do their hair at home. How do you get them back in the salon? How are we going to make a difference? How are you guys going to make a living? This is a career. It's not just a hobby, a job. It's a career. That's why 20% of you will make it a career and make really incredible money out of your career. You have to stay focused. You can never stop. You don't think I'm in the front row of every class that's going on? Not only that I can see what my competition is teaching, because I continually learn. I don't know everything. I learn from the people I teach from their questions. You can never know everything about hair. It's constantly changing. The chemicals are changing. Technology is constantly changing. And you have to keep up on it. Like I said, when I started doing hair, this didn't exist. We had pagers. It'd beep, and I'm like, who's that? Let me call and see. Because there was no name, it was a number. So hair color can't change? Think about it. The technology is there for you to tap into, but you have to continually study and continue to learn. You have to be a professional. You'll make a lot of money in our industry. It's such an awesome industry because you get to do a hobby that's fun. You get to make people feel good about themselves and make them beautiful. There's nothing more rewarding in the world than when a client loves their hair. Doesn't it make you feel good when they totally love what you did and they tell everybody about what you did? You can't put a price tag on that. And when you do some messed up hair, guess what? They tell even more people. Right? And that's the last thing you want to happen. So you have to be focused and do the best you can with everybody and not be lazy. When I talk, someone came up to me earlier about going darker. Who asked me about the blonde going darker and it turned green? There you go. Okay, I want to talk about that for a minute because it's really important. I talked about getting color out. Let's talk about putting color in. Okay? This girl. Now let's say she actually was at the roots, right here, she was a natural level 4. Right? And then about 3 inches out, she was a level 7. And then out here, it was like a level 9. And then down here, I don't even know what the heck you call it anymore, because it's so light and it's so porous and it looks like fuzz, and she's got to grow it till it touches the floor. Don't cut my hair, honey. It's going to be so pretty when I can sit on it. Ever seen her? Right? Like, does it really look any different from here to there? Looks ugly to me. Let me shake it. So pretty, right? They won't let you cut it. Don't you dare trim my hair. And then you try to color this. She just wants to be one color. The color works really good right here. And it works pretty good through the mid shaft, but out here, one of 2 things happen. Nothing! Because it's so porous that it can't even hold pigment, or it grabs it really strong and looks muted and muddy, and in one shampoo it's gone. It's protein, it's not even hair anymore. She needs shears right there. She won't let you cut it. God forbid, cut my hair. Nothing can't cut my hair. Right? So, if you're going to color this stuff, first of all, we need to try and get some protein in it so maybe color will adhere to it. Because there's nothing for it to even attach to. So I would do a very good protein treatment of some type of protein that you have that's going to go into the hair. And then put the color in, because color adheres to protein. And say a prayer. But actually, we talk about fillers. How many of you have heard of filling the hair? Now, what's shocked me over the last 10 years is when I watch color manufacturers promote their color line and teach to people on how to use their color, and they're like, we can do a one-step dye back. Okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you the same thing. You can do a one-step dye back. She wants to be a level 6, not 5, but darken it to a 6. I can do it in one step, right? But is it going to fade? Of course it's going to fade because of the porosity. If I take a sponge and I stick it in a bucket of paint and it soaks up all that paint and it becomes one color. If I run the sponge under the water, what's going to happen to it? And then if I squeeze it when I run it under the water, what's going to happen to it? The color's slowly going to go out, right? Well, what happens to your hair when you run it under the water and you squeeze out the conditioners and the water and the shampoo? Hello, it fades, right? Just because you call it permanent color doesn't mean it's permanently going to be that color forever. What you did is you permanently altered the structure of the hair, because that stuff ain't going back to natural now. It'll fade, it'll do all kinds of things, but it ain't going back to natural. You're going to have a line of demarcation when your hair grows. Does that make sense? You permanently altered the structure of the hair. That's why they call it permanent hair color. It doesn't mean you permanently made it that color. It's going to fade. It's going to fade. It's a porous fiber. So this is so porous that it can't even suck up color because it's wide open. The color falls right out immediately. It can't adhere. That's why you need a protein treatment. That's why she needs it cut off. Does that make sense? So on this, you're going to have to do a traditional filler to fill the hair and then put the color on. Now, because color manufacturers teach you can do a one-step dieback, I do too, because they know hairdressers are lazy. Imagine if a color company came in here and said, if you want to go back to a darker color, let's just say her natural is a 5. If you want to go to a 5, what I would recommend you do is you have to shampoo the hair, you have to towel dry the hair, you have to put a filler on the hair and fill it. Then you have to rinse the filler out, then you have to put the color on. Hairdresser is going to go, oh my God, that's just way too much work for me. And then the other company that comes in and says, oh, we can do that one step. Just mix some 5N and 5GC, put it on there, 5 all, and you're done. I'm going to buy their color because it's easy, right? That's why color manufacturers teach quick fixes. But if she came to my salon and I'm working in a salon, I'm not going to do a quick fix. I'm Max Eli. I'm expensive. But you know what? I have a reputation and I do good work. I'm going to do a filler. And I'm going to rinse the filler. And I'm going to put the dye back on. And guess what? In 3 weeks, she's going to have beautiful hair still. Does that make sense? Quit being lazy. How are you going to raise your prices? Do good work. Do you get it? If I told everybody every single time you had to fill it, they'd be like, oh my God, it's just too much work. When I work behind the chair, I fill everything. You've taken all the pigment out of this hair. When you lightened it, the blue went, then the red went, and if there's anything left down here, she didn't even have any yellow. It's dead, okay? But if you darken the hair, you have to put those pigments back in the hair. They're gone. So you have to put the yellow and the red all back in the hair. Blue is below a level 4, so you don't have to worry about it. It's too dark then. Because once you go black, you ain't going back. Remember, it's dark enough. But level 5, 6, 7, 8, any of those, you have to put the pigment back in the hair that you took out. The red and yellow. That's what you fill with. Fill with warm shades. So we always fill with gold copper and water. And I let it process 15 minutes and then I wipe it off. Now I've got the RPC back in the hair. I call it RPC. It's the remaining pigment that's in the hair. And then I can cover it. If you cover it, you want it to look totally natural. I don't care what color line you use. If you want to make her hair a natural 6 and you're going darker, still 1/4 of your formula is going to be 6 gold copper. Because that's going to fill the hair and you'll see 6N. You'll never see the gold copper. It will fill what's missing. But if you use 6N by itself, it's going to look like mud. And if you use 6A or 6B, you'll have some nice shades of green or blue hair. Does that make sense on blonde? So you always have to fill with the pigment that you've taken out of the hair when you start depositing colors back into the hair. Does that make sense? And you'll get really good end results.